Hey y'all, my name's Rich with Fox Overland and Outdoor. All of these things around me, what's the common denominator? What do all of these take? If you guess power, you're 100% correct. If you guess battery, I'll give that to you. That's right, it can run off a battery, and we do run it off a battery. But all of these things take power, and when we're out on a trip and when we're out in the woods, there's no shore power. You can't just plug something up into an outlet. Or could you? But the way that we do this is completely different. And so I want to talk about some power solutions that I run into my truck and some really great ways for you to do really well while you're out and off the grid. Let's get started.
I'm Hunter with Fox Overland.
My name's Rich with Fox Overland.
For you. The Shanty Chef Trophy. We're overlanding.
We are Swamp Fox Overland and Outdoor.
So let's take some time to talk about things that we run at camp. We've got refrigerators. How do you keep your food cool? Well, it's not in a Yeti cooler anymore because we're completely past that, right? So on any given trip, I run one of two refrigerators. The RF20, it's a 20 quart Setpower refrigerator, mobile refrigerator, can run off a battery power and run off the truck as well. Or I run bigger Setpower AJ40. I've done videos on both of these. I've got a 40 quart refrigerator or I've got a 20 quart refrigerator, depending on how our adventures run. How do we run them? I got a power system in the truck, or I can run it off this shitty battery bank. It's a 100 amp hour battery bank, right? That has a 1000 watt AC inverter and then power pole hookup. So if I want to run a ham radio, I can run a ham radio. If I need to recharge GoPro batteries, I can recharge GoPro batteries. When we need to recharge the drone batteries, we recharge the drone batteries. But what is the main vein of all of this? It's power. It's power. The lantern takes power. To make coffee with the Stoke Voltaics Joule, that takes power. Our jump starter, just in case we need to jump start our vehicles, that takes power. Ham radios, that takes power. How do we deal with all of the power draw? Welcome to Luna's power system. I run a 100 amp hour battery in the back. It's a lithium iron phosphate battery, easy to recharge. We've got a Renogy 20 amp DC to DC charger. So it takes the alternator power from the motor, right? And then takes the alternator's charging ability and throws it into a charger that can charge up our lithium iron phosphate batteries. That goes for the same with this 100 amp hour Lashitty battery bank, right? Because there's 100 amp hours in that, right? So all it does is take the alternator power and repurposes it so that it can charge our batteries on the run. 20 amps equate to about 270 watts. So if you do the math, I'm not gonna do it, but if you do the math, 270 watts at 10 hours would be 2,700 watt hours. Does that make sense? Or 270 watts per hour. So I'm not really good at that math. There's calculators and stuff, but that's kind of how you do the math. But if you think about what we've got here, 100 amp hours is 1280 watt hours, right? So most of the battery banks out there is in watt hours. Hunter runs the Bluetti. I think it's the AC 180. But there's so many battery banks out there. You've got EcoFlow, you've got Bluetti. I happen to do a do-it-yourself sort of solution, but they all have a purpose. I run mine because it has power poles, and that's really huge in the ham radio world, so it fits my need, right? Hunter runs the Blue Eddy because it has really great power monitoring, and then also has a few AC ports, so he runs a few more things that take a home 110, 120 plug, right? But other than that, it just has to fit your need. But one thing is absolutely common. You gotta recharge them on the go. So how do you do it? With that Renogy 20 amp DC to DC charger. Now, here's the kicker. I also have a Victron solar controller, a Victron MPPT solar controller. That Victron solar controller is hooked up to a Renogy 100-watt panel on the top of the truck. And that is creating solar power so that it is also charging the truck. And so it seems like a super complex solution, right? But a lot of people who depend on solar, what if the sun goes away, right? But as overlanders, we're running around and we're running our trucks maybe 6, 7, 8 hours a day, maybe more if you're crazy, if you're on the trails. But other than that, there's always a power solution. So with our powers combined, right, you've got the DC to DC charger that is running and charging when the alternator is running. And then when it's not running, solar takes over, and then you've got 100 watts per hour, depending on if it's getting full charge, right? That's funneling into the battery as well. And it can charge both this Lashitty and the banana berry that's sitting in the truck as well. So really excited to show you what this looks like. It's fairly simple. The Victron SmartSolar charge controller 7515, right? So essentially what that means for me is that it can handle up to 15 amps of power, right? And so that's plenty enough for the 100 watts of solar that are on my roof of my truck, right? But what's really great about that is it harnesses the sun's energy in order to charge a battery, right? And so I really love this Victron. Victron has a wonderful app interface that you can use, and you can see all of the things, right? You can see how many watts it's taking in. You can see how well your solar efficiency is doing, right? You can see if it's not charging at all. And you can also see what amperage your battery's at, so you can kind of gauge how much power is left in the battery or if it's charging at all. On the flip side, the Renogy 20 amp DC to DC charger does something similar. It also has app functionality, right? You can see if the alternator is charging properly, right? You can see how much power it's drawing from the alternator charging circuit, right? Or you can see if it's not charging at all. The Renogy 20 amp DC to DC charger is also built for trucks like mine. I have a smart alternator, right? Because if power is constantly charging a battery and then the battery is technically topped off, the problem that you run into is it starts frying the battery. The battery gets hot, the battery is overcharging, and that's really bad for the life of your batteries, right? So in this case, what's really powerful is that the DC to DC charger covers maybe 85% of capacity and then starts to kick itself off and then kind of float its way up, right? The solar charger, the Victron solar controller, will continue charging up until it's at full capacity or the battery is at full absorption, right? So you get the best of both worlds. You don't have to depend on one power source. You have two that are combined to make sure that your batteries stay at capacity when you're running. What we do is very power intensive, and the one thing that we don't want to do is to have the charging battery of your truck be the only power source that you're depending on, because what do you have to do? You got to be able to start your truck. You don't want to be in a situation where you're not able to start your truck. You also don't want to be in a situation where your refrigerator, your radios, your Joule, all of those things consume power, and then if you kill the battery, their starter battery, you can't start the truck. I understand that we carry jump starters, but you kind of want that to be the last resort. So what do? Everything that consumes power aside from the truck itself should probably be hooked up to an auxiliary battery system. And that's what we've built here. Everybody's solution is very different. I'm glad that I get to show you mine because it works very, very well for me, right? I'm not running the things that a lot of these folks are running out there. Like you see some Overlanders that are running 400 amp hours into the bed of the truck, right? And the reason being is they're running a lot of power hungry appliances, right? There are some really cool induction stoves out there, but think about running an 1800 watt induction stove for an hour. You just killed a Blue Eddy battery bank, right? And while you have the ability to recharge it, what are some other things that run off of power? A diesel heater runs off a battery bank or runs off of power. A EcoFlow air conditioner, which I don't have. I would love to have one. An EcoFlow air conditioner also runs power. You've got a lot of power hungry appliances. But the way that you combat that is to have some charging solutions that you have here in the truck that work for you. The biggest question that everybody asks is, how do you monitor your batteries? Well, it's just as simple as turning on the apps, right? Both the Victron solar controller and the Renogy 20 amp DC to DC charger have an app that is very, very involved, right? You can see the charge of the current battery. You can see how much charge that you're getting from the alternator with the DC to DC charger. You can see if everything is linked in together correctly, right? And I think that's a really, really awesome thing. With the solar controller, you're able to see how many watts you're getting in from the solar panels and if it's being effective. You get to see what stage that the battery is at. Is it in the bulk stage where it's drawing as much power as it can? Is it in the absorption stage where it's almost full? Is it at the float stage where it is full and it's just trying to keep it topped off? These are really, really powerful things with understanding your battery systems. Thank you so much for taking the time to take a look at Luna's power systems. I hope that this is really helpful for you because I think that it's really, really important to see somebody who's done it. I'm not the best gauge when it comes to how to do things in the best way, but I've screwed up a lot, right? And so I'm just really elated to show you a solution that happens to work for me, right? Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this episode. And if you have questions, please make sure to reach out to swampfoxoverland@gmail.com or just shoot us a message here on YouTube. I'm happy to answer any questions that has to do with the power systems. I'm really, really excited later on to show you what Hunter's power system is and how it differs from mine. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next time.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this episode. If you like what we're doing out here, please be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell to be reminded that we're out here. And as always, we are Swamp Fox Overland and Outdoor.